what do you do before you teach a dorm class? How do you get ready for a dorm class for ultimate success? So that's what I want to talk about today. So before I do any dorm class, I prep my flight first. So just say stand team's going to come and evaluate whatever within 1 hour. Well, first thing I do is I get my teammate to assist me. So my teammate will help set up the whole impression in the day room to include the mandatory items on the whiteboard, and they'll get all the things necessary to set up that whole impression to make sure they have every last item for that. But you, as the instructor to be evaluated, have to make sure that everything still looks good. So still your responsibility to get done. For the instructor that is going to be evaluated, I think they should be talking to the trainees. Get every trainee in one bay, give them mandatory PLA, and say, okay, these are your teams. So when we apply, you're going to go to these exact beds and wall lockers. And then whatever the class is, so if it's in the bed display, put all the in the bed display items on the bed so you can systematically build it up as a team. That means that unrolling the trash bags, taking them out, getting the mesh bags out of the laundry bag, putting the backpack and taking the water bottle out and everything like that. Just deconstruct everything. If it's first issue shoes, unlace everything. Unlace everything. So if it's first issue shoes, you're only worried about first issue. If it's second issue shoes, hopefully, just those low quarters, so totally unlace it. And for linen exchange bed, have them strip everything off and stack everything on the chair in the order that they're going to do it. Also, it is your responsibility to make sure that everything is serviceable. So one of the things that I do is I say, hey, does anybody have anything that's unserviceable? Just say somebody's laundry bag, their string, just popped loose and it, just came apart or whatever. Just borrow somebody from the other bays and bring it over and then just replace it right then and there. And then, of course, after the class, try to find an extra laundry bag somewhere or send them to the BX, whatever. Anyways. So you're setting the stage for everything. So for dust covered beds, just unearth everything and just stack everything in the order that you're going to do it in. And then that's it. And all other classes apply to it. Security drawer, all of it. Just get it ready to go. So when it's time to apply, they can just go right into it. And they know what their teams are. And what I also do is I role play. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say we're doing in the bed display. We're going to do towels first. And then say, do your towels. Now, this is my opinion. I do not give time limits. I say, once you're done, stand here. And then once I say you're good, then you're going to stand over here. So that when I look up and you're at the finish line, that I know that I've checked everybody, because you're in that special spot where I know that if I bless the area as deemed as no demerits, I know that everybody's good, I can move on. And I have never busted any suspense. I just don't like the 2-minute thing, because if they break it too many times, it's a lack of control. So I just let it go. That's just me. So I tell them to utilize the latrine before. Make sure they bring all mandatory items into the day room. Now, the way I do seating in the day room is I get them in a U shape, of course, crisscross applesauce, because it's not facilitation. Whatever. You can have them sit down on a chair, but what I find is an issue is that when they use the chairs, it's hard to get out and get back in, and they have to squeeze in when they come back from the latrine, or if they fill the water bottles back up. It becomes a big distraction. So I don't like using chairs at all. It's a lot easier from the crisscross applesauce and be able to stay seated. So if they go to the latrine, they come back, they fill in the back rows, and if they can't see over the person in front of them, they stand up for the duration of the class. And it's not a long class when you're teaching a dorm class. It's usually a 30-minute, no more than an hour. It ain't going to be that bad. They're going to be all right. typically they should be leaving the day room anyway. Now I'm going to check to make sure all the mandatory items are on the board. I'm going to make sure my lesson plans have those necessary transitions. And I'm also going to make sure that the podium is staged in a way that is not in the way of the first whole impression. I'm going to make sure that it just looks balanced in the class. I always, and to go back to seating real fast, shortest in the front, just like you do in line formation. Shortest in the front, optimum view. Everybody should be able to see over anybody. Now, the hard one to display for a whole impression would be security drawer. So what I do is I'll prop it up a little bit in the back of the drawer so it can tilt so that the trainees can see the security drawer whole impression. I'll tilt it up a little bit. And what I would like you to do is anytime you know you're getting ready for a class, practice that setup. Practice what you're going to do. Make mistakes before the class. So the more classes that you practice on your own with your section, the better equipped you're going to be when stand team rolls around. So everything is to get you more comfortable and make sure that you understand all the whole impression setups for as many dorm classes as you can. As many dorm classes that are normally evaluated. So to keep that in mind. When you start getting evaluated, I want you to put on a show. If you practice the class enough, or if you read the lessons to your flights enough, you can just go right through it. So this is what I would do personally. Every flight, every single flight, I would do this. I would do this. I would print out, this is just me, print out, or I guess you could document it on your iPads or whatever, but I wouldn't do that because as soon as they get a new revision, all your personalization is done. It's safer on paper. So I would do like 2 or 3 dorm classes and personalize those 2 or 3 dorm classes that are normally evaluated by stand team. Just so that you get those reps and then when you go back and you look at those lessons, if you get hit with stand team, you be like, I already have this personalized, I'm ready. And you just look at it and boom, you're ready to go. You're ready to put that in there. I don't think it says in the regulations that I read that you can't use a paper copy for it because it's still a lesson plan. But be as it may, if it's a bad thing, that's fine. You can still write it in because it's right there ready, available for you for the class. So these are some of my pro tips on how to get ready for a dorm class. Oh yeah, let's talk about the 128 Alpha. You got to be able to personalize that properly and make sure it applies on the MOS side of the 128 Alpha. You got to make sure that it applies to your class. So keep that in mind. And what I would do is, when I teach the 128 Alpha, I have the max number of demerits on both sides and the flow on the 128 on a friction pin thing or whatever. So it just flows. And I'm reading it, I'm looking, giving an eye contact, and we're going through it. I also, believe it or not, I'll print out 50 blank 128 Alphas. And that's my dips kit for classes and dips and everything like that. And I'll give everybody a 128 Alpha for them just to use and for them to view, so that they don't have to solely rely on my big 128 Alpha visual display, because some of them won't be able to see it. And I want them to see what it looks like, so they can just follow along with me. And then after that, I'll go ahead and pass it back up. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go apply after it's all said and done. So that's what I do. I hope that helped. I try to keep this under 10 minutes, but sometimes I can't. All right. God bless. Take care.